Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Kelvin here. Many of us has property related questions. So in this video, I've invited my property agent friend. His name is Agent Han. So he'll be answering our questions today. So Agent Han, before we start, can you tell us more about yourself?
Hi everybody, so my name is actually Yijie, but a lot of people like to call me Agent Han. So I've been in the real estate industry for the past 9 years. So right now I'm actually with PropNext.
Important question, have you what big now?
Soon. Soon. I believe I'll what big soon. Yeah, soon.
Can you tell us more about what's your typical day like?
Okay, so property agents, we wake up quite late typically because our working hours actually ended quite late also. But because I got children, that's why every day I need to wake up early. So early part of my days is more towards like replying message. We got tons and tons of message. We need to reply message. Then we also do some research for our client, like example arranging viewing, doing some statistic research, etc. Then the viewing wise will be typically after 5 PM. Then we will end about 11 or so. So typically this is actually how it works for the entire day.
So you are busy most of the day lah.
Yeah, okay not really it depends. It depends. Somehow the day is also quite chill one. It's just that now it's a bit tough. We still need to shoot videos, come with contents. It actually bring us additional work. Otherwise, in the past, for a real estate agent, very simple, just doing selling and buying. But now agents start to innovate a little bit. So we need to shoot video, come with content, do more research, so they can value add better to our clients.
What's the biggest misconception people have about you?
People always thought that agents super easy one. A lot of my friends tell me, wow, you're agent you just need to go and show houses then you can earn a very good commission already. That is not so true leh. Yeah, because we need to do a lot of works to it. Example finding a house, we need to call through a lot of people. We need to find out what is their needs to understand a bit more, go in depth in their research. Then we can find them the ideal house. So it's not that easy as they think. But if let's say you think easy, I do recruitment also. Come down.
Wow, sounds like a lot of work but recently did the pandemic affected your sales?
Initially affected quite a lot in 2020. What happened is because just started a pandemic so to me I thought it's holiday mood already really start to holiday already. So for me I didn't really do much. But after subsequently we start to have a lot of training to learn how to really actually close deals during the COVID or circuit breaker period. That's whereby it start to get more and more busy. So right now it's actually a lot better. In fact, our sales is getting better because COVID, you all know right, the price go up. Price go up means to say our commission also go up So actually not bad this pandemic. But of course, I'm not saying pandemic is good. It's just that in terms of property line, it helps us a little bit in terms of our commission.
Over the past few years, HDB is actually making home buying easier and easier for home buyers. So property buyers don't actually have to go through agents like Agent Han. So Agent Han, are you actually worried that you will lose your job someday soon?
I'm very scared also honestly. Of course we'll be scared But of course, if you think about the other hand, property is actually a big ticket item. We're not like buying clothes or maybe buying a bag that we can do it through carousel. Just simply put our advertisement there. People who want to buy, just buy. There's a lot more towards property in terms of like how much is the potential gain, what's the CPF that we need to use, what are the timeline. So a lot of personal touch to it. And every time when we go and meet a client, we need to understand what is their needs. So today, if let's say the client, they do not know what is their real needs, because sometimes I myself don't know. So you need to have a third party to explain to them, to run through with them what the scenario. So if you ask me really, I'm scared, but I still think that I will be able to value add to all my homeowners. So if I think about that way, the angle should be okay.
Worst case, you just go become a YouTuber
just like Kelvin learns investing.
Next, I want to ask some investment related questions. Is investing in Singapore property a good way to make money over the long term?
I will say that in the long term, definitely will be a yes. Because if you take a look in the past, right, especially before 2012, whatever property that you buy, it will just go up. It will just go higher and higher and higher. So right now, after the cooling mention 2012, there is actually a dip. And it's actually raised up again. So in the long run, if you're going to think about it, just by one thing called inflation, the price will have to go up higher and higher. Cannot be chicken rice from $2 become $3. Then property price don't go up, correct or not? So I believe the property price in the future will always get higher and higher. Just take a look at the government land sales. Land sales will never be cheap. It will get more and more expensive, especially in Singapore, which our land size is so small. So in the long run, you can still consider it's a good investment property.
So property or REITs, which is better?
I think it depends on what's the capital that you have. Because if let's say you want to enter into a property, example a 1 million condo, your down payment will be easily 28 to 29% down payment, including of the stamp duty. So which equivalent to about 280 to 290,000. So if let's say you have the funds, you can always enter into a property which is an asset class. So entering into a property, the good thing is you can just choose to sell, you can choose to rent, you can choose to stay. But if you were to go into REITs, one thing is you can only sell, there's no rental, there's nothing. Of course, there will be some dividends lah. So if you ask me, if a party that do not have a lot of funds on hand, they still want to do some investment, REITs may not be a bad idea. They can go into REITs first. Then from there, when they just save up even more, they can enter into property, buying their own assets.
Recently, there's a lot of advertisement that say that you can sell one HDB and buy 2 properties. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and a lot are saying all these things. Personally, I think that number one, we need to look at the finances. Of course, selling one property to buy 2 property, it looks really fantasy on just the surface, but a lot of time we need to look into the finances of the party itself. Because why they can actually do that is because the current HDB that they own is actually a good quantum, a high quantum, and also provided that both of their salary is actually quite comfortable also in order for them to own 2 property. If you were to ask me, I would still advise to settle on one first. If let's say you really have the extra cash, it's something that you want to put into an asset class, then you want to buy a second property. Otherwise, settle with one first. Don't straight away go into 2 property without a proper calculation.
So in summary, you have to see your personal finances before you can jump into this kind of strategy. Do you have any tips for new home buyers? What should they look out for when buying a new house?
I think most importantly is still back to square one. The ground rule is the financial. We first need to look at the amount of loan that can get. Whether can you sustain the loan throughout the years. Example, you will take a 30 years loan. Will you be able to substantiate or maybe to sustain the whole 30 years of mortgage? Then secondly is also we need to understand, are we buying for own stay or for investment? What is our time horizon are we looking at? Because for understanding that, then we will know what kind of property actually suit us better. Example, if let's say we were to buy a HDB, should we buy a 4-room, 5-room or maybe an EA at one shot? So this kind of thing are one of the few considerations that we need to look into also. Then of course, if let's say you're thinking of making money, should we buy a brand new one or should we buy a resale one? Should we go for BTO or should we go for resale flat? Should we go for a new condo or should we go for a resale condo? So there's actually a lot of things to it. I think it's still good to consult your advisor to understand what is the real agenda of you buying a property and what is the time horizon are we looking at and what kind of profit are we looking at as well.
A while ago, I asked on YouTube and Instagram for any property related questions, and this was what I got. You were asked why property should even be on Singaporeans' radar unless they are somewhat wealthy enough to own more than one.
Okay. Very good questions. I'm a property agent, so by right I need to sell you property. But I myself are also a strong believer in other investment class, example equity, option, forex. So if you ask me, if let's say today your funds is huge enough, you got maybe a few 100,000, you can always enter your property. But today, if let's say your funds is not big enough, maybe about 50,000, 80,000, maybe you can go into equity first or option first to maybe to grow your wealth, then buy a property. But if you were to ask me why Singaporeans want to buy property, I think this is just inside our blood. People want to own assets. But what is it really that good in terms of buying a property? What I can say is it's more like a saving plan. I will not talk about the returns. It's more like a saving plan. For example, you were to buy a $1 million property, you take a 75% loan, assuming your money mortgage is $3,000 per month. If you were to able to rent $3,000 per month, can I say that you at the end of 30 years your property will be fully paid? So your money installment, your whole property will be paid by the tenants. You will have a $1 million at the end of the day. Of course, there are months that it's not being rented out. There are months that we need to pay for like effect, etc. But end day, how much did we actually put in? We only put in the first initial $200,000 to $300,000. And in the long run, we have a $1 million property. That is why people use it as a form of saving plan. So if you really ask me, should you necessarily need to own more than one property? Answer is no. You can always buy some other investment class and can give you even great return. But if you are someone that really love to become a landlord, then please just go and buy a property.
Second question by Hui Wei Zhang. Difference between renting and holding a high-yield MOP HDB or selling it for significant profits, then using the funds to buy a 1+1 condo with spouse.
Okay, so maybe let me just rephrase a little bit. Your question is asking like, should we sell away a newly MOP HDB and buy a private condo, or should we just continue to stay inside? I always like to emphasize is today when the MOP, when HDB is being MOP, the price is definitely higher than your purchase price. That's for sure, right? Yeah, so you should, typically what I've seen right now is making a profit of 100 to 200,000 profit. So the next question is we need to understand, can our HDB remain at this price, or it will go up or it will go down? So it depends on which area are we looking at. If let's say for Punggol, Sengkang, because of the amount of supply out there, typically after a few years, the price will start to come down a little bit, case to case basis lah, okay? But of course, you're staying right now in a very prime location, Red Hill, Bishan area, the price will tend to able to hold its value. So if let's say you wanted to cash it out, you can take cash out about $100 to $200,000. You can actually buy another property that can make even more, then why not? Correct, you can actually make 2 times again. But again, it's a case-to-case basis, it's subject to your needs. If let's say today, because I have customers that tell me they do not need to make money, they just want to stay for comfort. So again, you need to ask yourself, are you looking for comfort or are you looking at making money? Because today, if you are staying in a particular area, you have already enrolled your children into the school and you want to sell away, move to another location, every day you need to pay your kids, sibei shag one. So you can think about it.
The third question is by Anna. Is it a scam or is it a highly doable and realistic when those property ads say sell your HDB and upgrade to owning 2 condos? Guys, this question is similar to the previous question, so just refer to the answers from the previous question.
Yeah, and I realized that a lot of people are talking about 2 condos. Must re-emphasize again, to own 2 property is possible, but again, please go and check out on your finances. Do not just go and buy blindly, because money installment every month, it can go up as high as $8,000 to $9,000 if you own 2 property. Just be mindful.
The next question is by Shafi SC. How to get started in investing on properties and how much capital needed?
I think I also mentioned earlier. So right now, if let's say you want to buy a property, assuming you're buying a HDB, if you are taking a HDB loan, you can get up to 90% through HLE, home loan eligibility. So for that one, you just need to come with 10% CPF. And that 10% CPF can also offset from your grant. But if let's say you are buying a private property, maximum loan is 75%. So a $1 million property, you need to come with 25% plus a 3 to 4% of stamp duty. So easily you need to come with about 280 to 290,000 in terms of cash plus CPF. Yeah, this is the amount that you will need to come up with if let's say you are buying a property in Singapore.
The next question by Clarence Chan. How to determine how much loan you can get for property?
Okay, I think I mentioned earlier also. Okay, so the maximum amount of percentage of loan that you can get is maximum 75%. So just like you say, okay, so you were saying that sometimes when you go for assessment, it's not full 75%. The reason why is number 1, income. So your income may not be able to substantiate the 75%. Number 2, maybe because of this thing called TDSR, total debt servicing ratio. So right now, when you want to buy a property, the bank will also assess that how much expenses do you have per month. So expenses like car loan, credit card loan, student loan, etc. All these debt you will factor in. Example, your income is $10,000. If your car installment is $2,000, they will treat as your income is only $8,000. They will base on $8,000 to do an assessment. And because of that, that is why you cannot get a 75% loan. So, but again, best is still consult a banker. They will be able to calculate in terms of how much they can get. Or you can just go to some of the bank website. They will be able to do some assessment for you.
How you can plan or leverage loan to purchase a property for investment and financial planning with loans when buying properties.
Okay, so I think one of the tips is you will be able to see how much loan you can get. Yeah, number 1. Number 2, you also to see what's the money installment. Because after knowing that how much loan you can get, you'll be able to know what's the money installment. Then from there, you'll see whether is it comfortable for you or not. If let's say it's too high for you, then you have to take a lesser loan or buy a smaller property.
Heroic Team, CPF or cash for loan repayment?
That's a very good question. Should you use cash or CPF for your money installment? But first thing first, we need to understand that today, when you take out your money from CPF account and put into your property, you will need to pay the CPF accrued interest by yourself. If you leave it inside the CPF account, government is paying you the 2.5%. So which one should you really use? You have to think about it. Okay, then the other thing you also need to understand. Today, can our cash help us to make more than 2.5% or not? If let's say today your cash can help you to make more interest somewhere else, then why not? You can actually make more through other investment to make that 2.5% to cover off. So and it is depending on your financial knowledge, your financial stability.
Yeah, Arthur, how do structures like iQuadrant work? This one you go ask iQuadrant to ask him. Charles asks, should you use bank or HDB loan?
Okay, regarding to loan. So to me, you need to understand both mechanisms first. Today for a bank loan, you need to come with minimum 5% cash. If you're someone that unable to come with the 5% cash, then go for HDB loan. And the other thing is you need to understand HDB loan is actually a 2.6% interest. But for bank loan, it's actually fluctuating. Right now, it's actually at 1.5%. But again, it will fluctuate. There's a chance that you can go up to 3% also. Every few years, you have to do a refinancing. If you're someone that you do not have the time to monitor the market, then please go for HDB loan, whereby it will be steady throughout at 2.6%.
Think how possible for a 22-year-old with not much money to invest in properties other than REITs?
No, if let's say not much money, don't invest in property because it's a high, big quantum ticket item that you need to buy. So you try to make more money from somewhere else first before you enter into property.
Many done ask, is it worth it to buy HDB first and condo next, considering ABSD?
Now, if let's say you were to own a HDB first, subsequently you want to own another property, a condo for investment, you need to pay a 12% ABSD on top of the buyer's stamp duty of 3 to 4%. Is it worth it or not? Personally, you need to first understand the HDB that you're owning right now, will it be able to go up by another 12 to 15% so that you can cover the cost of the ABSD? If let's say cannot, then probably I would recommend you that why not you sell away your HDB and you go and buy a private condo for own stay, and in this way you can save the 12%, correct or not? But of course, if you were to ask me again, which one should you buy first? And then, if you really need to stay in a condo, end of the day, your finances allow, go for condo first. No need to go through the route of a HDB. And the best part here is, if you didn't take any grant for your HDB at the start, you can still take it in the future. Means say when you're old, now your private property, you sell away, you hold for 30 months, that means you go for rental, and by the time you're on a retirement age, your income is lower, can we now go back to HDB and take the maximum grant? Isn't it better? So again, end date, it still depends on what you really want. Hope I answered your questions.
Now 1501, what housing prices will look like in the short term and long term?
Okay, I think it's all over the news. HDB prices has actually went up for the past consecutive quarters already. So if you ask me whether it can continue to go up, I will say that probably so. Is because if you realize just recently there's actually 4 BTOs that they actually delay the completion again. So as long as there's a delay in completion, more and more people will tend to go into resale market, and when there's more demand than the supply, the price will just go up. Okay, so in the long run, I would say that in Singapore, lands are really scarce in Singapore. Prices will just get higher and higher and higher. This is why you take a look at all the government land sales. Never come down, it just go up higher and higher.
Linus Linya asks, is it wise to liquidate CPF investments in order to pay the initial upfront cost?
Okay, if you no money, then you liquidate lor. If you got the money, then don't need lor. So it really depends again on your finances lah. But you really ask me whether should you use your CPF to pay for the house or not. Like I said earlier already, government pay you the 2.5%. So can you make more somewhere else? If let's say can, then why not?
GeoLMH, how to find the right agent for the best deal?
Wow, this is a very tricky question. How to find a right agent? The agent is already here. I don't know. Just kidding. So how to find a right agent? I think I think you can check out on their credential. What are the deals that have they closed? Are you going to buy a private property, or are you going to buy a HDB? Is the agent focused more towards HDB, more focused towards private property, commercial, industrial, or landed property? So if let's say you really want to find an agent that is able to serve your needs the best, I think find someone that is very focused in the particular property types that you are buying. I think that will be better.
Young Alista, what's the recommended course to know more?
Oh, okay. So there's actually quite a lot of courses out there. If you go by your Facebook, right, you can see there's a lot of property classes. Actually, no need to waste money lah. That's my personal take lah. Find an agent that you're able to trust. Just talk to him, or maybe just find a few agents, have a second opinion or third opinion, will be able to solve your needs. No need to go through the route of going to courses paying a few $1,000s to learn all this. That's just my 2 cents worth. Of course, there are many courses out there. Many courses. If you want, you can go and check it out.
I live in HDB now. I want to own 2 properties. Live in one and run one out. What do you think?
I think it's not a bad idea. It's something they can consider. Because for the rental yield for HDB is really high, so it depends on whether you can stay at the HDB or stay at the condo. But be mindful, you need to pay a 12% additional by stamp duty. on top of the basic stamp duty of 3 to 4%. So it's actually a 15 to 16% differences. So you need to ask yourself, how long will you take to break even from the ABSD or the stamp duty cost? Okay, so that one you need to work out your finances. If you were to ask me, it really depends on the how much can you rent it out. Are you staying in your current HDB? Are you staying in a very prime location, or staying at a more outskirt location? What's the rental that can fetch you? And what's the next property that you're going to buy? How much stamp duty that you need to pay? A lot of all these considerations that you need to think about before you make a decision.
Okay guys, I think that's all for the questions. Hopefully he has managed to answer all your questions. If you have any questions, you can ask them down in the comments below. Then I will get Agent Han to answer them for you. Once again, Agent Han, thank you for joining us in this interview. I've benefited from a lot from it. Hopefully you guys too. And that's all for today. Like, share and subscribe as I'll be posting new videos every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Bye!
Bye!